Is Gulfgate one of those hidden beach gym neighborhoods here in Sarasota, or is it just kind of an old, boring 70s neighborhood you should overlook? Well, that's what we're gonna be talking about in this video. Stay tuned. What's up, guys? My name is Zach Payne. I'm a born and raised Sarasota local and real estate agent here in Sarasota, and today we're talking about all things Gulfgate, from location to why so many people love living in Gulfgate, why some immediately cross Gulfgate off their list, and of course, we're gonna be checking out some of my favorite hidden gems here in Gulfgate. Oh, and make sure to stick around to the end of this video, where I'm gonna be touring 3 properties here currently listed in Gulfgate. Stick around. All right, starting off with a 30,000 foot view of Gulfgate. We are located here in the southwestern part of Sarasota. We're about 7 miles from downtown. We're about 10 miles to the Sarasota airport, and best of it all, we're only less than a mile to Siesta Key Beach, which is a huge draw for why so many people love living in this area. But apart from being so close to the beach, Gulfgate also has this really awesome small beach town vibe to it. And one thing that really attributes to that vibe is this kind of awesome little downtown that Gulfgate has. Every single shop, restaurant, and bar is locally owned here and not a chain or, one of those big organizations, which, I don't know about you, makes me feel better when spending my money when I know that I'm supporting local businesses and owners. I always find that there's some little hole-in-the-wall bar or restaurant that I've never been into before. I mean, it's just so fun exploring the Gulfgate area, and it's super walkable, which is a plus in my book. So one thing that I find really funny is although there's so many restaurants and bars and little shopping areas, you would think this area would be packed with all the beach tourists since we're less than a mile down the road from Siesta Key, but that's just not the case. Gulfgate truly is one of those true hidden gems that so many people walk right by and never even know is here. So we can't talk about Gulfgate's little downtown without talking about some of my favorite local shops here. Also, I need a coffee, so let's go. Gotta give some love to the videographer too. Now, the Clever Cup is one of my favorite places here in downtown Gulfgate. Not even like a coffee shop specifically, just all together. It has such a nice little vibe to it, and their baked goods are pretty good too. Another one of my favorite places here in Gulfgate is Spice Asian Market. They have so many fun things. My girlfriend actually introduced me to them, and so now every time we're in Gulfgate together, we've got to try out some new Asian snacks.
That's really good.
Gulfgate also has a ton of top-rated restaurants within the little downtown area, so whether you're feeling Chinese, Mexican, American, you just want pizza and ice cream, Gulfgate really is a one-stop shop for all the people who really can't decide where to eat. So another thing that I really love about Gulfgate is there's actually 2 really distinct different shopping plazas within the Gulfgate area. So we just saw the true downtown Gulfgate area, and now we have a more commercialized shopping center. It's gonna have Sephora, Publix, Old Navy, Michael's Arts and Crafts Store, Marshall's. So you've got really everything that you would need kind of in your daily life, shopping and dining wise, essentially in your own neighborhood. Oh, and speaking of neighborhood, Gulfgate really has this interesting setup to it that we really don't see anywhere else in Sarasota. There are 3 kind of separate neighborhoods in Gulfgate, but they're all kind of blended and meshed together. There is no grand entrance and sign greeting you, welcoming you into the Gulfgate neighborhood. As a matter of fact, there's really only one sign, and it's this one right here. And if you're not paying attention, you can be pretty easily missed. Another thing that I really love about Gulfgate is it kind of reminds me of a northern community. See, my parents' family are all from Nebraska, and whenever we go up there, I've always noticed how there aren't really those specific neighborhoods per se that we have down here in Florida, but instead it's just a bunch of streets and one-off little side streets with houses on them, and that's really how Gulfgate is, and I actually just love it. Now, another thing that's kind of important to note is that Gulfgate was built out from the late 60s on throughout the mid to late 80s, and homes really reflect that style. Some people love it, some people hate it. It really is just kind of a personal preference. Just take a look. Another thing about Gulfgate is that most of the homes are limited to 2 bedrooms, typically 2 bathrooms, and a 1-car garage. I mean, that's kind of what you see mostly here in the Gulfgate area. Sometimes you don't even see a garage, it can just be a carport. You see, laundry in the garage as well. These are all just kind of typical things from old Florida homes. So again, it's kind of that personal preference. If you're someone who's wanting a brand new, larger home, Gulfgate probably isn't gonna be for you. But if you're somebody who's looking to be close to the beach, 2 bedrooms is kind of perfectly fine with you, 1,300 to 1,600 square feet is okay space, then Gulfgate is a really, really good option. Since Gulfgate was built in the late 60s, early 70s, you'll see a lot of the homes here have been updated at least once or twice in their lifetime. So it was actually funny, when I was trying to schedule properties to show for you guys, I had such a hard time trying to find something that was actually original. Now, before we get into our first home, which we're gonna do really shortly here, is I wanna explain another thing that kind of ties in with that. Gulfgate is a really big rental market. I mean, we already know that Gulfgate is about less than a mile to Siesta Key Beach, and a lot of people want this area because of that proximity. So one of the things that I would note here is that there is a big rental market. All right, guys, now it's time to check out some houses. And before we do that, I'm curious to know which one is your favorite. Is it gonna be house number 1, house number 2, or house number 3? I'll tell you right now, just off the bat, that house number 2 is gonna be my favorite, just from the listing photos alone. All right, let's check them out. All right, guys, this first house is the epitome of a Gulfgate home. I mean, this thing could very well serve as a time capsule. Now, I don't know if you can tell by just looking at me, but I wasn't alive in the 70s, but I can imagine what it was like living in the 70s just by being in this house. Like I said earlier in the video, this home has everything that I had mentioned about Gulfgate homes earlier. It's 2 bedrooms, it's 2 bathrooms, it's dead in the middle at 1,300 square feet. Oh, and check this out on the outside. Remember what I was saying about block construction? This is that perfect example of it. You can kind of tell, you know, it was built by block, which is completely fine, but a lot of those, you know, other home builders put stucco and stuff over this deco so that you don't see that block construction, but this is what you see in most homes in Gulfgate. I mean, if you just pan over to the house next door, same thing. You see the little block lines. It's just kind of how it is here. Now, I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that this home needs a little bit of love in TLC, but with a starting price of only $380,000 and being less than a mile to Siesta Key, which is arguably the greatest beach in the United States, I think there's a lot of room for updates here. Plus, another thing that I really love about Gulfgate is that they have a really lenient HOA from my experience. So if you're someone who likes the idea of having an HOA, but doesn't like the idea of having someone telling you what color to paint your house or what plants you can put in or not, then Gulfgate is a really good place. All right, let's go check out the next house. So the next house that we're going to go check out is actually not in Gulfgate proper per se, but the neighborhood is called Gulfgate East. Now, this is going to be the perfect representation of kind of like an old Florida neighborhood. It is going to have that walled off area. It's going to have that entrance, you know, saying Gulfgate East. And really the big points to know about Gulfgate East is that it's technically not a part of the HOA for Gulfgate proper. It has its own separate HOA. And then the other big thing is that it's gonna have larger homes on larger lots. So those are the 2 big things that people really like about the Gulfgate East area. And so because you're gonna have a neighborhood with larger houses on larger lots, and I mean, I guess you could argue that the houses are kind of nicer in elevation, because of all of those things, you're gonna see that this home is gonna be priced the highest out of all of the 3 that we're checking out today. This one's gonna be listed at $475. All right, let's go check it out. Okay, here we are at the second house, and even before we go inside, there's so many things I love about this property. Starting off with this long pavered driveway, the stone veneer on the front of the property, and this lot. I mean, you can't get a lot with this kind of elbow room, even in the $1 million plus new construction market. So it's so nice to see that elbow room here in Gulfgate East. All right, guys, let's head inside because my favorite part of this house is waiting just behind those doors. All right, guys, here it is. This is my absolute favorite part of this whole entire house. This living room, actually this whole house, is just a mid-century lover's paradise with these exposed wooden beams, this wooden paneling over the fireplace, and overlooking the pool. I honestly think I could hang out here all day, no problems. Guys, this home is the perfect example of a well-loved, well-taken care of home here in Gulfgate. I mean, it's not brand new, it's not totally remodeled, but it has that charm and that 70s and 80s character that everyone just loves here in Gulfgate. Really, the only thing that I would do in this house is maybe update the kitchens and the bathrooms. Although, I don't know about these bathrooms because this wallpaper's kind of grown on me. And after maybe those few tiny little updates, you've got yourself a perfect mid-century modern home. I mean, look at this. Skylights in a 1980 house, come on. All right, as much as I hate leaving this beautiful property, we've still got one more on the list to check out, so let's go. All right, here we are at the third and final house and back in Gulfgate proper. And as you can tell by kind of just looking at the footprint of this house, it is a smaller home. But what the owners did, I think, is really, really smart. And before we go and check that out, I absolutely love this location, kind of on a corner lot, so you have a little bit more separation between your neighbors, which is really nice. All right, let's go inside and check it out. All right, guys, so here we are in the third and final home, and here it is, a totally fully remodeled head to toe, 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom, 1,700 square foot property. I absolutely love this floor plan. Super open separation of space. Obviously there's no furniture in here, so that's why you're getting that super echoey audio, but it really is a good idea of just kind of what you can get in Gulfgate. I absolutely love this kitchen, super open, overlooking the secondary living room, super light and bright. All right, guys, if you are interested in any of those properties that we checked out today, or you think that Gulfgate might be the perfect place for you, I'd love to be your real estate resource of choice here in Sarasota. I'll leave all of my contact info here on the screen. If you don't think that Gulfgate was kind of the perfect area for you and you want to hear what I have to say about every other area of Sarasota, click this button right up here. Thanks for watching. As always, I'll see you in the next one.